You gonna do it, Johnny?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, there we go. That's our intro. Is you're gonna do it, Johnny. Hi everyone. Welcome to
I'm
another
gonna
edition.
do it.
You didn't do it. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. We're still obviously figuring out some last second stuff here, but that's all right. We'll get the show going pretty soon. I'm your backup host, Cesar Hernandez. I'm here. Actually I'm kind of excited because I don't have to answer any questions today. I just have to ask the questions, and then I ask these guys, the experts, for their answers. So it's almost like a day off for me. So speaking of these people that we're going to be talking about, that we're going to be talking to, let's go over to them. Let's go over to Jason Marquitz, who's in Philadelphia-ish. Remember, that's what it says on your Twitter account. It says Philadelphia.
It's accurate. It is accurate.
How you doing, Jason?
I'm good. I don't know if you guys saw the press conferences today, but I was named like the assistant sporting director to the something other made a position for the FMS now. So I'm in a real position of power. So I'm coming from a place of authority today.
Interesting. I assume you're the assistant referee committee manager of the secretary to the deputy. I assume that's.
We haven't fleshed out the title just yet, but it's pretty much that.
All right, we're gonna go over to Johnny, who's proudly our Liga MX fantasy leader now through the fantasy league. I've been slacking recently. Johnny, how are things in San Diego? Are you gonna be expecting a trophy soon for the Mexican Soccer Show league?
Well, hopefully. I mean, I am 22nd in the league, but best among the people here.
I'm right behind you. Don't worry, man. All right, then Naib over in New York City. I assume you're still in New York, right?
Yeah, right now we're still in New York. Good to see you, Cesar. Good to see Jason, Tom, and Johnny. It's kind of crazy stuff. I just don't know what to expect from Mexico anymore. Like there's different things that happen. I think there's a lot of people now in the FMF kind of as directors, and I don't know who is really in charge of the whole deal. And they still have trouble finding the coach. But taking that from aside, I think the league was good. Lots of goals, lots of beautiful goals. Edwin Cardona was one of them. Guignac scored a hat-trick. So, apart from that, I think it was a positive weekend for Mexican football.
Yeah, lots of tired defenders, that's for sure. That's where we saw a lot of those goals. All right, and then we're going to go over to Tom Marshall in Guadalajara, who just came. Tom, it seemed like you were on a trip for about 5 to 6 days. Like you were in Morelia, and we're watching Toluca. Tom, how have you been? How are things now back in Guadalajara?
Yeah, all good, Cesar. Good to be chatting. Jason, Johnny, Naib. Yeah, I was in Morelia on Saturday, and then Toluca on Sunday, and then drove back to Guadalajara this morning early. So, just a bit tired, but excited. It was a good trip, and it's always good to get out there and see new stadiums and different teams play.
Nice. No, definitely. It was a definitely good weekend, and I know a lot of the teams were definitely they were tired because there was all those midweek games. So I think that's why we saw a lot of those goals. But I mean, the good thing for us, as fans, is we got to see plenty of excellent matches. Like I enjoyed the whole weekend. So the big news, honestly, the big boring news of the day was the restructuring of the FMF. I don't know why I was expecting something more exciting. I don't know why I was expecting something a little bit bigger, but it was just basically all those guys sitting at this tiny table and just explain the different positions that they're going to be involved with FMF. So I know it could be, at least for me, like I must admit, like I know some of those things are a little confusing. You hear some of those new positions, and it's I don't know, it's a little perplexing at times. So what I'm going to ask you guys is for each of you, I want you to give me 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. What were your takeaways? If you're going to explain this to someone, someone who didn't get a chance to see the meeting or didn't get a chance to see in the tweets talk about the meeting, I want you guys to tell me like what was essential. What were your big takeaways from that meeting with FMF earlier today? I'm going to go to Johnny first. So Johnny, what did you take away from this?
I take away that Santiago Baños won the lottery. He goes from being the assistant coach to Miguel Herrera in the national team to being the director, the sporting director, the GM of sorts of the Mexican national team. So from assistant coach to basically the boss of the next coach, Santiago Baños goes.
Yeah.
And this all happened because the position that that González Iñárritu used to have got split up into two, and Santiago Baños gets one of those job titles.
Yeah, because there was a sporting, and then there was the operations, and Baños got the sporting. Tom, sorry, I think you're saying.
I don't know. I think that what I took from that is that Guillermo Cantú is the person making the major decisions now, along with his compadre, the Tio Di Maria, because I think Di Maria is the padrino, is the godfather of one of his kids. So very tight. I think Cantú is very tight with Di Maria, and I think that Cantú is the one going to be going out there looking for the next Mexico coach. And I think Baños and who's the other guy, the operations one?
Fernando Sevilla, the operations manager / director.
And I think they're going to be under Cantú. So yeah, that's. I think Cantú is the guy big. He's the one with the power now.
All right. So from Tom, we hear that Cantú is going to be the big guy. Especially since he's the godfather, which I did not know. That's actually something I had no clue. That's interesting.
That's what the press has reported, and I mean, it does raise questions about. I mean, what I would have wanted to ask today if I was at the press conference was what was the process of what was the decision-making process in terms of putting Cantú into this position, which he's held before. Well, he's held director of national teams, but I mean, was this advertised in terms of like the kind of analyze different candidates and then he was the best candidate, or was this the typical? It's fair to say Mexican situation because it happens a lot in Mexican society where your compadre is brought on board because you're good friends with him.
Yeah, I'm still a little confused with like González Iñárritu, and they brought it almost seemed out of place for him. Just like, oh, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of that. Oh, Iñárritu, you're going to be in charge of all the refs.
It's a typical thing where once you're in an organization here, in Mexico, it's like you that's it. You've got your job there, and you're sorted. And it's a very it's a system that I think goes back a long way, but I don't think it's necessarily the best. But can I just go over a couple of quick points that I took from this press conference? I think that the interim manager is a possibility. I think that's what we heard today. The preference is to get someone in place as the head coach by the September games so that they can go to the October playoff against the United States prepared. But if that's not possible, then they're going to go with an interim. We learned that there's been no formal offer made yet to any coach. We learned that the priority is getting the right person in place for the qualifying, not necessarily the Confederations Cup, which means that there is a possibility to wait. I'm sure we'll mention names, and obviously Bielsa, he comes to mind when we talk about that. And I think Cantú is also aware of the importance of this appointment because his quote was, "CONCACAF nations are improving all the time, and they're improving faster than us," which was a really stark admission there. But I think the other thing is that we've mentioned in the past Ricardo Lavolpe, and his kind of candidature seems to have gathered pace in the last few days. Now, another thing that I took from this press conference is that if Lavolpe was the number one choice, he'd already be there now. Because he's Chiapas manager, Chiapas are not going to stand in his way. He's admitted that he wants the job. So I think that he's a backup option, and I think there's still other people out there that they're going to be talking to.
Yeah, I honestly still don't know what to expect. I mean, like I was hoping we'd get a little bit more concrete ideas of what we want from a manager after this meeting, but I still think it was very, very vague. Because even though they said that they wouldn't prefer an interim, at the same time they said they wouldn't rule it out. They said, oh, but we're looking. It could be a manager from Mexico, or it could be a manager outside of Mexico. So I still feel like I feel like he could be tall, he could be short, he could be big, he could be small. Like that's how I felt. That I learned from this. Jason, what was your takeaway? What were your takeaways from the meeting earlier today?
It was mostly kind of indifference to the shuffling around because, like Tom mentioned, like you have some of the same names that kind of get into this organization just kind of flopping around these different roles. So it's almost like the carousel of Mexican managers in a way. Like there's some changing of roles, but ultimately we'll see. I mean, we're looking at what manager comes out. Like there's obviously doesn't seem to be like there's going to be this massive overhaul and change of direction in the way that FMF operates. So it seems that is pretty much in place. So what manager comes out of it is what we'll see. And the thing that I took as a positive from this is I think it was Nesio mentioned the the thought that and I know Tom's mentioned as well, that the manager that they're looking for is the manager looking for the long term. The one that's heading toward Russia, the one for qualifying, and not just grab a manager as quickly as you can. So they're taking their time, and I'm glad they're taking their time. As much as having a manager in place right now would be great, but take some time to find the right guy. That seems like a marked improvement than things were done in the past. So whether that means an interim manager or not, as long as they take the time to find the right guy, I'd be okay with it under certain circumstances. I think an interim manager would be just fine, assuming you're hiring that manager not as a let's see what you can do as a trial basis to get the real manager job, but as an actual interim manager. You don't have the job. You can do it this one game. Just someone who doesn't want the job. Under those circumstances, I think it would be fine. So if they're doing it something like that, just to find more time to find the right guy to work out the circumstances, then that would be great. So I'm hoping that little tidbit from today was actually some semblance of truth in it.
And here I am wanting the federation to just throw a rock out the window. Whoever hits, name him manager. But
disagree.
What if it's me, Johnny?
Disagreeing again,
You're okay if I was a manager.
But then again, I start to think, well, then the federation wouldn't quite be able to decide what window to throw the rock out of, and then there have to be this. They need to select the right rock to throw out. So, I'm really over their entire show.
Yeah.
I got over going to a circus when I was about 6. I'm very over their circus. I just want them to name a damn manager already, and let life move on.
Well, tomorrow they're going to be selecting the director of the rock throwing, and then there's going to be a general secretary of the window selection. But we'll figure it out soon. Naeem, over here. Yeah, Naeem.
It's a little bit when you see that a person like Guillermo Cantú, which I think he's really eloquent and knows what he's talking about the game in general. I think he does have knowledge of soccer and football in general. I don't think Iñárritu had that much knowledge about the position. So in that regard, I do see it as kind of positive. But I do see it negative that a person that already held the top position in the FMX Food returns. I think there could be other people that are capable, new ideas in a way. In general, about the coach, I think Guillermo Cantú put it sort of as someone that works well with the youth, and I think I heard a little bit of Bielsa in my head when he said that. I think they are taking it slow because they probably do have a name like Bielsa, as a possibility. And they're going to take all the time possible to get him. Like you just said, Cesar, I just don't see that much to take out from. One of the things that Cantú did say that was interesting is to pay more attention to Mexican footballers that are in the U.S. And that was one thing that stood out. But apart from that, it's I don't see the need for having so many positions. It's just you don't need that many. You don't need 4 people to do major decisions in a federation.
The 5 of them could almost literally not fit that table up there. So that's so much. It might be too many positions. So Tom, we're going to go over to you. So speaking of managers, I know you recently wrote an article about a certain manager. I know you were talking to us for a while about on our little WhatsApp chat, giving us hints about who it could potentially be for a Mexico manager. So talk to us about what does this mean for Mexico? What does it mean for this manager you wrote an article about recently? If Tom is there, is he not there anymore? Is he gone?
I fell asleep too.
All right, so go over to Naeem, who also wrote about another manager. I was actually thinking about cutting over to Naeem first, but I went over to Tom. Trying to balance things out since Naeem just talked. But Naeem, you wrote an interesting article. I know I completely forgot. Who was it again that you interviewed? It was
Joaquín Caparrós. As a coach from Spain who had a good past in Athletic Bilbao, which is a team that just beat Barcelona today, and also had a good past in Sevilla. Works well with the youth. It was general. It was a general interview. It's I did it a 2-part article. The first part I was just put him as a candidate. The second part was kind of interviewing him and seeing his thoughts about the possibility of actually coaching El Tri. He's actually, I don't think he's actually been considered by FMX Food take over the position. But it's interesting to see that a coach with his hierarchy, with his knowledge, is interested in the job, as it's the case with Michael Laudrup, and as we have seen, and Camacho is another one. It will be interesting because actually Caparrós is rumored to go to Santos. So I mean, I think that's one of the names that could actually come to Mexican football.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's actually the first time I've heard that. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if he actually does join Santos. I know we could talk about the FMF. We could talk about managers for a very, very long time. It's already been 15 minutes. And I know you can see on Johnny's face that he's done. He's tired of this. He even sent me an email earlier today saying that let's not linger on this too much because I think Johnny's been done with this. Let's jump over to the Europeos.
Real quick, Cesar, about with managerial position and stuff.
Yes.
Today, Ruben Rodriguez said something interesting on his Twitter account that went along the lines that if all the owners or everyone that's in charge of Femex Food is actually 100% sure that Bielsa is the man, they will put an interim coach till December, and in December Bielsa will take over.
Really?
But if the owners say that that they don't want Bielsa to coach El Tri, then Ricardo Lavolpe is probably going to be the next Tri coach. That's Ruben Rodriguez. No.
Let's just do anything to avoid Lavolpe. Let's have the five of us come together. Yeah, let's just be the manager instead of Lavolpe. I'm sure we'd be doing much better. All right, so before we go over to the Europeos, I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to go over to Tom really quickly. He'll give us some of his thoughts on Michael Laudrup. I said Laudrup. Michael Laudrup. Michael Laudrup.
No,
Tom,
No,
what does it mean? Yeah.
No, just like last week that Laudrup would potentially be interested through a source in Europe, and that that the FMF have got his resume, they're aware of his interest, and that he's under consideration as well. And I think the interesting thing about that is not that I'm not saying he is an absolutely outstanding candidate, but I think he's a very good one, and I think he's very good compared to someone like Lavolpe. I mean, really, you might as well give someone like that a go. I mean, he speaks Spanish, played for Real Madrid, Barcelona. He knows about the pressure. Plays really good football. So I think it's just another name out there, and it's like what Naib was saying. I think it just highlights there are other people interested. It's not like this. I know it's going to be difficult to get a top guy like Bielsa because of the way the federation has been run over recent years. Well, a lot of years, but there are options out there. You know what I mean? And I think that from my personal opinion, before going someone like Lavolpe who's doing literally nothing since 2006, then it'd probably be better to try somebody else.
Yeah, I think I would personally have something like Laudrup instead of Lavolpe. I think Lavolpe is like a last, like Plan Z, somehow after Plan Z, Plan ZA. I don't know.
Can I just ask a question? Because I should know this, but maybe one of you guys does. The Lavolpe and the podologist. What is it in England? In English, UK English, it's chiropodist. But I think it's like podologist or something.
Oh, so like the foot doctor.
Yeah, the foot doctor. Jesus. All right, what happened there? It's like, so he got booted out for that, and then he couldn't coach for a long time. It was going through this kind of court process, and then how did that end? I mean, does anybody know what happened? Because all of a sudden, I think, did she drop the case or he dropped the case, or like, did that ever get resolved? Because let's not forget that Miguel Herrera got kicked out for his behaviour off the field, and Deseo Di Maria about 15 days ago was going on about morality and how he wants this moral person in place who's going to do this and that. And it's like, I'm thinking, was Lavolpe? I mean, I'm not saying he did it. I have no idea if he did that or not. But if he did,
just imagining Lavolpe in Ital is what you're saying.
Well, I'm not saying that he didn't do it or do it, but I think Lavolpe ended up winning that court case.
I stopped paying attention after he got fired.
But I mean, it's something that needs to be resolved, I think, before he's done so little over the last 10 years, basically. And he's got this case of sexual harassment. Gets named again. I mean, I don't know. Is that just me? Am I being a bit ridiculous there, or I don't know? I think it's a fair question, at least.
Yeah, I have no. I don't know if any of you guys know.
I'm pretty sure La Volpe won the court case.
She dropped it.
But it's also interesting to ask ourselves why the heck La Volpe is still a candidate. Why is it being why the media in Mexico, because it's coming from Mexico, it still believes that La Volpe or La Puente are legitimate options. We have Matador Hernandez tweeting, "Oh, it should be La Puente." I think we always try to go to the past, and it doesn't. The past is not successful. So I just think that that's a big fault.
Maybe, but look at the pieces that are being moved around. Cantú worked with La Volpe at Atlante. Santiago Baños was also part of that Atlante. Miguel Herrera, the former coach that just left, was part of that Atlante. So they're putting in all the La Volpistas in place for La Volpe.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Fair point. It would make sense if he is named. I think they're going to go after Bielsa as hard as they can, but knowing that they're going to go with La Volpe if not. It's just such a bizarre. It's like what Naib was saying. It's just such a let's go for like an absolutely amazing top-ranked world coach, and then if not, we'll just go to this guy who's like. Shouldn't be like the number two, like also really good.
A world-class top coach is not going to guarantee success in Mexico.
No, but
we all saw what happened.
It's just a different change of pace from La Volpe. We've had La Volpe before. It's different.
Do we want another Sven-Goran Eriksson?
Well, Sven-Goran Eriksson, I think, is a different case entirely. He's almost like a joke now.
Yeah, he's a joke now, but when he got hired, everyone said, "Oh, how great that Mexico's finally thinking outside the box, looking to a top European coach to come and manage." And that blew up in our face, and now it's a joke. But back then it was.
Johnny, it's a good point. I think Eriksson's reign, cast a long shadow over the prospect of hiring European coaches. Mm-hmm. But I think it was such an extreme example as well. His football that he played when he came up through, I think it was Brøndby, was like direct football. He was known for like being direct, and tactically he was quite good defensively, but it was like so opposite of Mexico, and he didn't speak a word of Spanish, and you know what I mean? I think that was like an extreme example of a Northern European coach as well coming in. I know he had a lot of experience in Italy, but I don't know. Yeah, it is definitely. I agree with you, Johnny. It is something that you have to consider with these things. But I don't know. I think there's some middle ground as well somewhere. I think there has to be. And I also think, what does it say about Mexican football that you can't consider Europeans? Like, why is it? What is it? You know what I mean? It's like
I think like the whole thing of like
kick the ball into the goal. Like
the thing that always gets said is the understanding of the Mexican players, and like I can't even like fathom what that means. Like players, I don't know. Like, and a lot of these players aren't even playing in Mexico at the moment. So like a European coach, of course, would make sense, but not just a European, because that isn't going to make them successful. It's someone with a track record, right? Someone who has proven themselves and could step in and perform. It's not going to like work out necessarily because they are European or because they have that track record, but it's worth finding a good coach. Find a good coach wherever they're from and give them a shot. And just like Tom said, yes, going after Bielsa is a great idea, but other options would be good ideas. There's a lot of potential coaches that Mexico can look toward, and I hope they are. I doubt they are, but I hope that's what's happening.
I just think people think that it's a massive risk doing things like this. And I think it is on the financial side, because if Mexico does lose out in the short term, like I think I've seen a figure like $50 million will be the cost of not reaching the Confederations Cup. So yeah, that is a big risk putting someone in who doesn't know. And obviously, go with La Volpe. His system's very similar to Miguel Herrera's. The players are going to be all right with him. Okay, that makes sense. You can see that, but from a long-term point of view, it doesn't make sense, and I don't think there is a risk in terms of on the field, because at the end of the day, Mexico have got round of 16 for the last 5 World Cups and never got to a quarter-final outside of Mexico. It's not much at risk. I think whoever you put in charge, they're going to do well in the Gold Cup, and qualifying is obviously going to be qualifying. It's going to be very difficult to go to Honduras. It doesn't matter who's in charge. It's always going to be a difficult game. I don't know. I just think it's overplayed that. That's all.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end this right here. It's 7:30. I'm getting depressed. It's like the last two shows, man. I got so depressed. It's really depressing to be talking about this. Now I'm on Johnny's side because I was thinking, it's like, no, we should talk about this a little bit. You know, it's a serious issue, but no, I'm done with this. Once we start talking about La Volpe, and we're just like, you know what, maybe he could be there. It doesn't matter. Just like that's when you just gotta stop things.
Caesar's now on the let's throw a rock out the window.
Yeah, let's throw no. We got to hire the committee to figure out where to throw the rocks there. All right, so let's talk about the Europeos. Let's talk about some of the news from the weekend. I'll go over to Jason on this. Jason, Hector Moreno, he's now with PSV. Do you know he was kind of rumored he was going to be over there. There was some problems with his contract. I didn't know if it was going to go through or not, and it ended up Espanyol and PSV ended up going through. What are your thoughts on Hector Moreno joining PSV, joining Eredivisie? Is this a downgrade? Is this good for his career? What does this mean also, like, potential for the Mexican national? What are your thoughts?
It's kind of an expected disappointment, I would say. I mean, it's been so long coming, like the big club move for Hector Moreno. Going to the EPL, going to just a big club somewhere. Like, it was so long rumored and so planned, and then just the injuries that keep happening to him. And these things are delayed. So, I mean, the move comes. It's not like you can say, oh, it's terrible he's moving to PSV. It's certainly not terrible for him. I mean, certainly with Guardado's doing there, it's not a bad place for him to be, but it's almost like a lukewarm feeling. It's kind of almost like a lateral move for him. A downgraded league, but a kind of upgrade maybe in the team a little bit. So, I don't know. It's not too exciting, but it's not certainly bad for him. I mean, he still has time where he could make that bigger move sometime, but it's getting to be disappointing because that big move just never materialized because of injuries, and maybe it was more than that, but it seems like the injuries have really kept him back.
Now, what are your thoughts, Naib? I know you tend to follow, just like you tend to follow the Europeos and whatnot. What are your thoughts on Moreno joining PSV?
One of the things I said right away when the move was confirmed, it was that I feel that this is kind of like a pit stop for Moreno, in the sense that, I think if he does well this season, PSV wins the league, they do somewhat well in the Champions League, and by that I mean actually get a win or two in the group stage, will be fantastic. And if he managed to do well, I think there's a possibility for PSV to sell him in the summer. If everything works well, there's no injuries, and he completes a good season with PSV, I think the options of him moving on, they're high, because I do think that he has a market, and I think the reason that at the end he couldn't find a deal with a bigger club than PSV it was the injury that happened, in a freaking friendly against who was it, Honduras, Costa Rica, it was even a friendly. That's the thing that hurts me the most, that it was a friendly, and you play two friendlies in a bad pitch, and that kind of stuff happens. That's a little bit what gets a little bit mad,
I think one thing just quickly to mention about Moreno, which I think is interesting and says a lot about him, is that I don't know the details of his deal with PSV, but I imagine he can make more money in Mexico. And I think it says a lot about him that he wants to stay in Europe, fight for a championship with the hope of possibly moving to the Premier League or a Champions League chasing La Liga club or Bundesliga, then move back to Mexico, be comfortable, and make more money.
Moreno jumps from Espanyol to PSV. That to me is a positive move. You go from no Champions League to Champions League, and that he's going to be playing. He's going to see playing time. Did we want him to join Chicharito at Real Madrid's bench?
No, I actually when I first heard about the move, I thought it was going to be a negative. I immediately came to us. I think it's because we all had such high hopes, where like you would see that his name was attached to like even like Barcelona at one point. Like that was just like dumb rumors, but you would even hear that like Barcelona was interested in arguably one of the best like left-footed center backs in La Liga. But he is going to be getting regular playing time. He is going to be playing Champions League football, and I think that's good for him, especially in comparison. If he was going to be staying in Espanyol for another season, I think this is an upgrade, because with Espanyol, he was just stuck in the middle of La Liga. They've been stuck in the middle of La Liga for God knows how long. So to me, I think it's an upgrade.
Yeah, and the thing is that another special thing about this move that probably we don't see it right now because the season still started. It's just started a couple of weeks ago. Is that Moreno could actually be the best center back in the league, and that adds to the market value. If he manages to be the best one in what's that website that has all these stats? Who scored?
Who scored? Yeah.
If he manages to be on top of that, the teams will notice.
Yeah, no, that's a great. I mean, like you see some of the attention that Guardado has been getting. Guardado is now just very very well respected. You could imagine that a big team might want to bring these guys on, especially since like Moreno's. It's not like Moreno is he's old now. I know he's a veteran, but he's what? He's 27.
27.
I feel like he is. It's not. I think he still has a while to go. When you see someone like Rafa, Rafa Marquez, that's a different comparison. But Rafa, he's
one of Moreno's peers, Giovanni Dos Santos. He already came to the retirement league.
Oh, Gio's a different case though. Gio after that season he had a Villarreal. I couldn't imagine him going to a bigger team. And
they
you can see Gio being like, oh, LA, all right, let's do this. It'll be good times.
Both Gio and Moreno won the U17 World Cup.
I still have plenty of hope for Moreno. I still think Moreno. Honestly, I don't think Moreno's even reached his peak yet. I think he'll reach it like in a season or two. I think he still has time to build up. But Gio, I have no clue. I have no clue.
We're done with Gio.
So, I think he's going to do well, isn't he? I mean, the defense in MLS is nothing like the Liga. Let's be honest. It don't matter which way you look about it. I mean, I think he'll score goals. He'll make goals. I mean. You mean
Eredivisie or are you talking about Gio or Moreno?
Gio, sorry, Gio.
Okay, yeah. I thought you meant Moreno. I was like, dude, Tom, how many goals is Moreno going to score?
the defense in Eredivisie isn't that bad. Moreno dribbling through them all.
Oh, that's not good.
All right, so I'm gonna go over to Naib. So just talk about Europeos. Like what stood out to you this weekend from the Europeos? Like what would you want to highlight or bring up from the Europeos this weekend?
I think we saw Chicharito on the bench another weekend, and I think.
Oh, he's on the bench. Interesting.
Yeah, it comes in a time.
I just love the way you phrased it. We saw him on the bench.
Chicharito starting on the bench.
We got a glimpse.
Yeah. No, but I think we were laughing at it. But Van Gaal declared this the last week that he was going to stay in the team and he was going to get opportunities. And those opportunities haven't come yet. Hopefully they'll come in the Champions League playoff. La Liga is going to start next week, and Vela and Reyes are going to be in the same team. That should be interesting. It looks like Reyes will be a starter, and Vela is recuperating from a knee problem. So those are the two things that stand out. Guardado, we know that Guardado is doing well in Netherlands. Herrera debuted, played like 57 minutes. I didn't see the game, but I didn't hear that much good comments coming from Herrera's game. Layun had another start in Premier League, which is positive, I think. And to end, and so everybody else can think of is Jimenez move to Benfica a good one? Now, from my point of view, it's good if he takes advantage of the opportunities. It's a league, I think, that doesn't bring that many good memories because Kikín Fonseca went to Benfica and it went all bad. So I don't want Raúl Jiménez to have another a bad experience there in Benfica.
Let's see who else is. We also have Ulises Davila right now, who is in Portugal, who isn't doing very much. But is it Vitória I'm going to say the name, but I know I'm going to butcher it. Vitória de Setúbal. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, no. What are your guys' thoughts on Jimenez? My personal thoughts are that I feel like he's more likely to get minutes with Benfica, and at least from the form that I've seen him play with, actually even the spirit, the little small amount of minutes that he got with Atletico Madrid and the minutes he did get with Mexico, I feel like he's been invigorated. I feel like when he is on the pitch, he's exciting to watch. And I could see him easily getting a spot with Benfica. I don't know what you guys think. I'll go over to Jason or Johnny. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a good move for Jimenez to be over in Portugal with Benfica?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for Jimenez. I think he almost skipped this step. He jumped right to Atletico, and there was no room for him in that roster to even play, even if he was performing. There's no room in that roster. So, I think he's at the right level. I think he's going to do well there. I think he's a real bright spot for Mexico's future, and I think he's a really talented striker, one that we want to see playing regularly. So I think he has the ability to do that. Certainly more likely than where he was. So I don't know. It's a good move, and we'll see how it pans out. But I have high hopes for him.
Yeah, Johnny, you've been following Jimenez for a while for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts over in Benfica?
My thoughts are, man, Jimenez and Benedetto would be tearing up this league.
Oh my God, look at you. Club over country once again. Club over country, Johnny Rico. All right, so I'm just looking through right here quickly through the Europeos. So we talk about Chicharito, Jimenez, Layun. He was subbed out, but he's starting in Watford, so that's good. Tecatito, who just arrived recently to Twente. So I've seen online that they're giving him a little bit of a break, and he was substituted in the last match. So I think we might have to wait until the next match for Twente until we see him getting a starting role. Gio, he got an assist for Robbie Keane. And
this is Europeos section.
It's Mexicans abroad. You gotta bring in Gio. You gotta bring in Gio. Let's see. Let's talk about Victor Ulloa from FC Dallas. No, and then really quickly, before the Mexican Federation even announced anything, it was Malaga and Villarreal both said earlier today, beating everyone to the punch, that Jonathan Dos Santos and Guillermo Ochoa were both going to be in Mexico's roster for next month. Your guys' thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts on these clubs beating the Federation, beating the national team to the punch on these kinds of things? And it is kind of strange too that we're getting these call-ups when there is no coach, which is very, very odd. Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think the clubs have done it before. I don't think it's right. But I think they get a lot of hits on the website if they do it. I honestly do think it's right. I think the Twitter accounts, they realize the power of Mexican fans and the number of Mexico fans, and I think honestly that plays a big part. But I think it makes sense for the federation to call these players up. I'm glad they've done it. I'm glad they've kind of done the rational thing and called them up. Everybody knows who they are. It's not like Mexico's Argentina, where you've got 50 top quality first division, players in top European leagues. There's only 10 or 11 anyways. You know who they are. They're the ones that were the Gold Cup plus Jimenez and just Jimenez, wasn't it? So and Rafa. I don't know if Rafa will come, but I'm glad. I think it's rational, and I'm glad they've done it.
No, definitely. I guess it was a safe bet, right? There was a good chance that Ochoa and Jonathan Dos Santos are going to be called anyway. Yeah. So
there was something interesting about Ochoa though, wasn't there, with Kameny's interview and the fact that I think he's going to be staying at Malaga. That's as of right now, it looks like he's staying, and it looks like he's not going to play once again. Which would be an absolute disaster. 2 straight years without playing would be a disaster for someone like Ochoa. And you have to think that another manager coming in from Mexico isn't going to be as lenient as Miguel Herrera.
Yeah.
You think that they're not going to allow a player to just sit on the bench for his club and start playing for his country.
So does that mean I gotta get the campaign going again?
It probably does, yeah.
You might have to start the campaign. Here's the thing, though, is I think that Ochoa is definitely still our number one option, but we can't ignore the fact that there's still a lot of other excellent options too. I would start Ochoa, but we can't assume that any other national team coach, whoever it may be, would be looking at Talavera, would be looking at Chuy Corona, and just thinking about potentially starting those guys instead of it.
Chuy Corona just letting a ball bounce right in front of him.
Oh, dude, he's
kick 40
usually
yards away.
usually that guy's pretty perfect.
All right, let's move on.
But I think it's 2 years. 2 years without playing, that looks bad. And what's scary with Ochoa is that he could actually not even be on the bench, because there's the second keeper that did the preseason in front of Ochoa. So Ochoa could be watching the game from the stands.
I tell you what, Malaga's nice
That's how bad it is. Yeah, it's nice to live. Nice to live.
All right, so let's jump over to Liga MX. And I'm going to go over to Johnny, who's going to be telling us about a certain coach who decided to leave, a certain coach who had just won a title recently. Certain coach named Pedro Caixinha. Johnny, tell us about Caixinha. What are your thoughts of what's been happening? What does it say? Ochoa. All right. We're moving on. We're not talking about Ochoa anymore. Johnny, tell us about Caixinha and
Caixinha, yeah, he resigned his post as a manager of Santos after taking a 2-0 loss to the best club in Mexican League, Club America.
I thought she was taking on Toluca.
No, we said the best. The one team with the most titles. That team. So anyway, Caixinha quit, and it's hard to read into it. I'm thinking that Caixinha just said, "I'm out of here before they ruin my good reputation that I've built." Santos went through a change of ownership. They lost a lot of revenue. They've had to let go of a lot of their best players, and Caixinha, I give him props for still sticking around last season. We all expected Santos to be doing just exactly the same they're doing right now. We expected that from the last season. They kind of did at first. They, the luck of the Mexican game led them to be in the playoffs. They won the championship, and I think Caixinha realized that's as best as it's gonna get for him. There's no improving on that. He better leave before they just ruin his good reputation that he's built so far.
So you're assuming that, same thing with Santos last year. You're assuming that Santos wouldn't have been able to bounce back. And I think that part of them, I think they're affected by 2 matches for the first 5, when Marchesín and Giannini got that red. And I feel like, they got that red, that match was affected, and then they weren't able to play the next match. Two of the 5 matches right there being affected that early in the season.
I'm saying look at Santos' roster, and you expect them to be right where they're at right now.
No, it's like bottom of the league. They're no way a bottom of the league team. They just won the title, and they played. Who did they beat? Beat Querétaro 5-0. I think the Santos is still a decent team. I think the last season they're the youngest in the team and won the championship. So I think that tells you that within that squad there's plenty of room for growth and improvement. And I think that I think Johnny's point about selling players is valid, because he does get weary. But I don't think that happened this summer. I think the problem for Santos is going to come when Giannini gets sold over the winter or next summer, when a big offer comes in. Yeah. Or well, if he plays a bit better than he is now, but and other players move on. You know what I mean? But I think I personally think it's a massive loss, Caixinha, to the Mexican game. I think he's brought a whole different perspective, not necessarily tactically, but in terms of training, in terms of speaking openly about the problems within Mexico, about speaking about the players and what needs to change, and I think he does it in an honest way, and I think he's going to be sorely missed, because there is absolutely nobody in the league in terms of manager who is anything like Caixinha, who is going to come out with the things that he said, and I think it's a huge shame.
Yeah, well, just following what Tom said, when I talked to Marc Rosas, who's in Cruz Azul right now. And Marc, he comes from La Masia and played in Celtic and also in Russia and Olympique de Lyon in France as well. He told me that his best coach was Caixinha, like the one that the best that he's ever had has been Caixinha, and it's because the way that he did every single training that Santos had or that has been having is different. Each day Caixinha would plan something new. And I think that's good for the players. For example, I personally think Jesus Molina elevated his game with Caixinha. I think he was even more better than he was in America, and that I think was due to the coach and the scouting he did with Marchesín and Pulpo. Excellent. I mean, bring those players right away, and they give results.
Giannini as well.
Giannini is another one, and then we don't know that much about Rabello. Personally, I just think that I don't know what's going on with his life or personal goals. Maybe it's a European offer that it's kind of luring him to go to Europe quickly.
I do. If it were some kind of big European project, don't you think he would have left after winning the championship?
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't leave.
Why start a season, wait 4 games in, and then leave?
Yeah, no, I think Yeah, that is a strange one, and obviously people have mentioned the Mexican national team, but I can't see that happening at all. But so yeah, I think that is an interesting one. Why didn't he leave? I thought he would leave after the title, but he is highly ambitious, and I'm sure he's going to find work in Europe. The other thing that I think is worth pointing out is that Torreon isn't the best place to live. You know, it's not the best place in Mexico to live. I mean, I know. Sorry if anyone is listening from there, but you know, it's
Kim Tate, turn off the
Hi,
podcast.
Kim.
it's pretty barren. You know, it's very very hot. There's not that much to do. It's not like living in Guadalajara or Querétaro or you know Mexico City. I mean, it's a different kind of city altogether. So I think that might come into it as well. I mean, he's got a couple of kids. He's married. You know, Portuguese, so he probably wants to go back there, and I think he'll get a job in Portuguese First Division. I don't think it's going to be a Benfica or a Porto, but I think it's going to be a decent team in Portugal, and he's looking at Porto and you know the players they've signed, Casillas, and you know the Portuguese league seems to be doing quite well at the minute. So I think he's decided, right, you know what, this season isn't starting well. What else can I achieve? All right, forget it. I'm going. I need to do this.
Jason, thoughts on Caixinha leaving? Maybe he's going to be going over to Cruz Azul, who's struggling. I doubt that, actually. He's probably going to...
I doubt that, too. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah, it's surprising. I think, I mean, you guys mentioned it, but then the most surprising thing is just the timing of it. But, yeah, it could be anything. But, I mean, most likely it's just kind of, I don't know, just kind of seeing a bad turn of things and probably just thinking the time to get out is now. Certainly, I don't think the Santos team is a lost cause by any means, and it's a young squad, and it's talented. I don't think that they're one of the best teams in the league. I think it was their championship was a bit fluky, as they can be in Liga MX, but it's still a good team. But I mean, it's surprising, and I second what Tom said. It's a big blow for Mexican soccer. It was good having different coaches from different backgrounds, and Caixinha was certainly that, and it was bringing something else to the league. And it was always interesting with Caixinha too. So I mean, it's a bummer for us Liga MX fans, I think.
Yeah, let me just I interviewed Enrique Mesa on Friday, and you know we sat down for 20 minutes, and he was like absolute gentleman, really nice guy. After the interview, we had a little chat as well. And I've interviewed Caixinha before as well, and it's like it couldn't be more different. You know, I was asking, you know, Mesa kind of naive sent me a question. He's like asking about about if Mexican coaches and players are too comfortable, and I did, and he went, yeah, we are, yeah, you know, we make good money, yeah, we probably are, and I was like, all right, okay, so is that like a negative thing? And he's like, yeah, it is, and it's like.
I can imagine what keeps on saying.
I was like, did you ever like get offers to go abroad? He was like, yeah, I got offers, but you know, life's good here and blah blah blah. And it's like, and then you listen to Caixinha, and he's like, wins the championship. I want to win the Champions League. I want to be in the Europa League. I want to play Europe's top league. It's like, what a different mentality that is.
Yeah.
Compared to the, you know, Enrique Mesa is a legend in the Mexican game for the titles he's won. You know, Toluca and with Pachuca. I mean, you know, he's a top manager, and you see that kind of mentality. As nice a guy as he is, the mentality is. And I asked him. The story's coming out, so I can't give too much away. But I asked him, all right, if there was one thing you could change in Mexican football, you had the power to change one thing, and it could be anything. Pacto de Caballeros. It could be the way the national team. Right? What would you change? His answer was, no, you know, we have to respect the owners, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my word. It's like, these companies are, you know, they've got a lot of money behind them and they're very well run. And I'm like, that's not even an answer. You know what I mean?
I think it's slightly off topic, but I could see that kind of makes sense with the mentality of players a little bit too. You know, talking about how certain people feel comfortable in Mexico, you know, with the amount they're getting paid, and I can kind of see that with it. You know, I assume like with a few of the Mexican players, especially when you know.
No, I don't think it's just a few. I think it's the whole. It defines the whole Mexican landscape.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, but let's not like blame Mesa or blame the players particularly. Yeah. I don't know who to blame. This is the thing, because if me, you, or any of us like kind of get offered a job and they're paying you twice as much, then you know it's difficult. You know what I mean? Because we are motivated by money, not just players, but pretty much everyone really.
You know, it's a good stuff that we're talking right now because this morning I saw this U15 tournament that's going on in Mexico, and it's between Liga MX teams, Bundesliga teams, and MLS teams. And I actually saw Chivas beat Borussia Mönchengladbach 4-0 or something like that. And the Chivas players after the game, 15-year-olds, were getting interviewed, and they were like, our dream is to go to Europe. And, you know, the smiles in their faces, and they played good. I mean, they scored 2 goals apiece, those 2 players, I can remember. I mean, and the Mexican player does want to go to Europe. You know, you interview Toño Rodriguez, and he tells you, I want to be the next goalkeeper in Europe as well. But it's just something about the system. I don't know if it's the promoter, the agents, or whatever, that just all of a sudden everything gets cut out. You know, it just doesn't happen. And they end up staying in Liga MX. It's going to happen like with Carlos Fierro. Carlos Fierro could have left a long time ago. And this guy, he's probably going to stay in Mexico his whole career. I don't see him leaving Chivas.
No, it's the thing with Fabian as well. I mean, I think if he'd have gone to Europe when he was 21, he might have had a different career, you know. But the thing with Rodriguez now, all right, he's Chivas' starter. I think he's playing quite well. He's getting a lot of experience. But if you look at it from a European perspective, he's completely unproven. Yes. Like, it's absolutely unproven. And then Chivas are going to put a price tag, which is the Mexican League's price tag, which might be $7 million, you know, for a very good young keeper who's proven in the Liga MX. That might be a valid price for a Mexican goalkeeper. But then the European clubs are going to be like, I'll pay you 2 or 3 because he's still very young. We've no idea how he's going to adapt. And so the valuations in the different markets, it's the same with Gio. Gio's worth so much more in North America than he is in Europe now. So it made sense for the kind of, it's like air moving between hot and cold. A bit of chemistry there, but you know, the pressure led to that deal.
I feel these conversations always go the same way, where I think we over glamorize Europe. You know,
really?
Yes, we have Chicharito out in Europe sitting on benches. You know how glamorous is that? I'm all for bettering the Liga MX, having the talent to stay in Liga MX. I want a good quality Liga MX to watch every weekend. I don't care about the glamour of Europe.
No, it's not the glamour. It's about the developing that extra 5% or that extra 10%.
But how much are these players developing by sitting on benches? Look at Raúl Jiménez.
But they're training with the teams every week. Like even with like Raúl Jiménez, I'd rather have Raúl Jiménez training with Atletico Madrid every week and getting tiny minutes as opposed to playing Liga MX. I think that'd be good for his career.
There's nothing, no amount of training with Cristiano Ronaldo is going to compare to an actual.
It's not just Cristiano Ronaldo. It's a manager as well. It's a different.
But still, it's not going to compare to.
You're picking the most negative example, and I think, all right, this is the thing. Chicharito, would he have been better off staying in Mexico? Would he be a better player? No. I think the answer is no. Rafa Marquez, would he have had the career? Would he have been as good? No, like, you know, all these players who have gone to Europe, would they have been as good if they'd have stayed in Mexico? I'd argue not.
I'm saying, let's say Ulises Davila. Ulises Davila would be twice the player he is right now if he stayed in Mexico.
But
that's an exception.
Back to Mexico, and the door's always open there.
I think the Rafa Marquezes are the exception.
Yeah, but Rafa Marquez, unless he would have taken that leap and took a cut in money, less money they could have got playing in the Liga MX, age 19, 20, and gone to Monaco, which wasn't a massive team, then, you know, he could have failed at Monaco, and then he would have been in the same situation as Ulises Davila. I mean, they have to take that risk. I mean, and I think in the long term, it's better overall for the national team because they're playing in different systems as well. I mean, I think that Mexico, one thing I've been thinking quite a lot about watching the Liga MX is quite a lot of the teams play very similar systems as well, very similar styles. It's a lot possession-based, technical. But then you go to Europe and you see, 9 Mexican players in the Premier League. I'd argue only 1 succeeded. And I think that's stylistic as well. I don't think that's just the personality. And I think that if you can make it at that level, then you come back and you're a lot better player.
Yeah, I think that it comes down to the argument where these players making the move is going to be better for the national team, whether they pan out or not, because more players are getting more experience, and the ones that prove themselves open the door for more. But I mean, ultimately, it on the whole, it's not as good for the players to make the move because so few do pan out, so many don't pan out, and they make less money doing it. They could always come back to Mexico, but I think overall, like the move, it can be negative in a lot of ways because players don't play or it just doesn't turn out for the career. I think it's good for the national team that they do it, but ultimately a lot of times it turns out to be a negative thing for them.
I still think it's worth the risk. All right, yeah.
Here's one more example. Javier Aquino. When was he going to play a match the caliber of a Copa Libertadores final in Europe?
Well, he could have played in the Champions League.
No, there was no way he'd ever play the Champions League final.
The final, no, but he could have played in the the Bernabeu. He could have played.
When Villarreal was taking on Barcelona, Villarreal was taking on like Real Madrid.
Yes, but a Week 13 match does not compare to a Copa Libertadores final. What I'm getting at is we undervalue what we have in Liga MX. We can be growing Liga MX. We can be shaping a Copa Libertadores championship team. We can be shaping a FIFA Club World Cup team. There's so much that can be done in Mexico that we undervalue. We over glamorize Europe.
No, I don't think I personally do in any way. I really got a lot of respect for the Mexican League, and I think it's improving. I think the interesting thing about what you're saying, Johnny, in kind of the global context, is that we are seeing now a bit of a slight change. I mean, we're seeing players, big name, top players, moving not just to MLS and to Mexico like Gignac, Kino, but to Asia and also to Qatar. And I think we're seeing especially the Italian league and to an extent the Spanish league have been really dented by that. And I think we are seeing a change, and I think it is a valid argument. I think the MLS is having it as well. What's the best thing to do? Is it the best thing to strengthen the domestic league and therefore improve your national team through that, or to export the players? I mean, it's the classic Jurgen Klinsmann MLS argument.
Yeah. Well, so anywho, Cruz Azul lost at Tijuana.
We just got totally off.
We got sidetracked there. I was really getting into this too, but I forgot we were talking about Liga MX for a bit there. I think it was because we were talking about Pedro Caixinha, and then we were talking about the managers, and then somehow just us arguing about whether Neri Castillo should have gone to Europe. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, Neri Castillo should have gone to Europe. He had an excellent career, but now I have no clue what he's doing now. All right, so let me go through my smooth transition over to Liga MX scores. All right, so Santos 0, America 2. Johnny, America are back. It looks like America are doing pretty well. What are your thoughts on?
My fantasy team is doing great off of Benedetto.
Yeah, look at you. All right. So we were talking about this before the show started. I know we're a little past 8 o'clock, so I'll try to go through this Liga MX stuff really quickly. But explain to me what you were saying about Nacho Ambriz.
Nacho Ambriz, man. I know Wisa's going to hate this, but Nacho Ambriz just came in and simplified everything that Matosas was messing up by overcomplicating things. Matosas had Darwin Quintero playing in the midfield. Now it's weird things like that. When you have a team as talented as America, there's no reason, there's no need to be overcomplicating your systems. Nacho Ambriz just comes out here and lets the players go be talented on the field. He lets the forwards play up top. He lets the midfielders play in the middle, and the goalkeepers play in goal. And there you have the results.
Well, they've obviously
the goalkeeper in goal.
Yeah, goalkeeper in goal, just not a striker. Goalkeeper as a goal. No, America have been doing very well. They've won the last 3 games, and they haven't allowed a goal in the last 3 games. So credit to. I finished my power rankings for Liga MX recently, and I had to put America as number 1. I think they've been doing very well.
Yeah.
Next game we're going to go over to really quickly is Cruz Azul 1, Tijuana 3. Jason, what's going on, man? Not even your fans are supporting out there. I saw that once again it's just it's really low support out there. I think it was only 13,000 people. There's probably more games there are more people at the Earthquakes game that I went to on Friday.
That stadium never fills up unless it's America or Chiefs or someone like that. I mean, it's the way it goes. There's plenty of Cruz Azul fans watching at home. That's just the Mexico City way a little bit. But I don't know. The team's a mess. there was some bright spots. They came out and played pretty well at the beginning and start of that game, and they kind of certainly fell apart after Toronto's red card. But I mean, I don't know. I still have faith that the team can kind of sort themselves out a little bit and push for a Liga spot. Certainly not a title contender by any means. But I mean, the team's not going to be a disaster. But certainly nothing great coming from Cruz Azul this season.
Yeah, a lot of underwhelming stuff for there. Unless Fabio Santos is going to score at least 15 more goals for you guys.
That's right. That's
this
right.
season. All right, we're going to go over to Morelia 3, Leon 4. Tom, you were over there. That looked like an exciting game. Tom, give us some quick thoughts about the match that you saw in person, which I believe you called it was the most entertaining match of the season so far.
It's an exciting game, Cesar.
Yeah.
4-3.
All right, and now it's naive. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, just quickly, Morelia, I don't think they're as good as the early form showed. I don't think they're bad either. So I expect mid-table. Leon, very good going forward. I mean, they've got the midfield three, Vasquez, Peña, and Luis Montes going. When that's on form, they're an excellent team. Barcelli up front, very good. Doubts about the defence, as the 4-3 scoreline would suggest, but Leon top of the league, and yeah, I think Bizzy's getting things going now with Leon, and I expect them to be at least in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, like we talked about, Leon scoring plenty of goals, but also Leon allowing a lot of goals. So, I mean, if you're looking for entertaining games, watch Leon. They're definitely allowing and they're definitely scoring plenty. All right, so next, Tigres 4, Chiapas 1. I feel like we should burn through these Liga MX scores and just talk about it, but there's something like recognizable from a lot of these, and with for example, this Tigres one. I'll go over to Naive, but Gignac with his hat trick. Are Tigres back? Are they going to be fighting for a postseason spot? Later on this season.
No, I think their attacking prowess, or their power in the attack is really noticeable. I think it's important that Sobi scored. I think for Tigres as well. I think Sobi was a little bit of a letdown in the Copa Libertadores final, because I think River Plate defenders just kicked them all the time. And I think it will be good for Tigres to have those two on fire, Sobis and Gignac. What Gignac is doing is amazing, because he has all this pressure around him because of the price and how much Tigres paid for him, but he's just crushing it. It's like he's making it look so simple. At times, the Chiapas defenders look like little kids against Gignac, basically.
And his goals too, they weren't even just like powerful shots. I felt like they were just well placed. Like he just knew, when he was running through, he was like, I'm gonna hit that near post, I'm gonna hit that far post. It was just very, very intelligent goals that Gignac scored. So to go through a few of the other scores, we had Pachuca 1, Pumas 2. Pachuca now with 3 losses in a row, so they're definitely struggling. Atlas 2, Puebla 1. Puebla can't really win away from home. They had those 3 straight home wins, and then they struggled against Atlas. Dorados 1, Monterrey 4.
Monterrey looking good.
Monterrey looking very, very good. Rogelio Funes Mori, Dorlan Pavon. Who else is scoring for them?
Cardona.
Yeah, Cardona. Yeah, they're doing very well. Yeah, and they got that.
That's the Turco Mohamed power.
Or the power of the stadium too. The power of the new stadium. That game wasn't at home; it was away. But they got a lot of motivation.
He's a good coach, Mohamed. I was at the Atlas Monterrey game and listening to him speak afterwards, and just the way he came out with how his team were going to kind of get in behind the Atlas fullbacks, and how he explained it was like, all right. Yeah, this guy is actually like the real deal, because you listen to some press comments and the managers, and you're like, I don't know. But Mohamed's great. I agree with Johnny on this.
To me, he's the best manager in the league.
Should be coaching the national team, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
He could do worse.
I think Turco once he finished America and try to win a Libertadores, with an Argentinian team, maybe Boca or even River. That's why I see with Turco. There's that potential.
I hope he tests himself outside Mexico. I know we're going back to the same theme. I mean, if he can actually win something with Monterrey, I think after that, what else has he got to do?
He's already won a Copa Sudamericana.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Turco and Monterrey. I feel like they have. I mean, there's a lot of talent on that roster, so it's going to be, it'll be interesting to follow them. And then the final game, we'll go over to Tom on this one. The look at 3, Chivas won. Chivas with they had some promise at the end there, but a little too late. A little too late there for the Rojiblancos.
Well, yeah, I think it's been an interesting week for Chivas. We've had Omar Bravo got the goal scoring record on Wednesday in the 2-0 win against Morelia, and that team had an average age of 23.3 years. I mean, Bravo's 35, and he was the oldest player by 9 years, next to Miguel Ponce, and then all the rest of the team were under 25. So it's incredibly young team, and to come out and win against Morelia like that I thought was absolutely brilliant and the essence of Chivas. But then against Toluca, obviously the altitude is very difficult. Chepo named the same team, and I thought, to be fair, they were second best from the start. I don't think they were bad, but it does raise questions again for me whether Chivas are good enough to be anything better than a mid-level team this season. And I think that they've moved up now from the bottom of the relegation table because of Dorados. He's also kind of struggling the last few weeks, and I don't actually think that good, even though they've started quite well. But I think there's really some deep concerns now about Chivas and their ability to string real results together and reach the players. I think it'd be a major achievement. Put it this way. If Chepo can get this Chivas team in the playoffs, it'll be a major achievement.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, you got to remember that they are playing with a very young team. Alanis, Fabian, Brizuela, Pereira. They all still need to make their way back to the starting 11. So I think you might see a different team once those players are all healthy. But yeah, honestly, I can't imagine them winning a title. And I think making into the postseason once again would most definitely be a success. So yeah, that does it with the Liga MX. Really quickly before we end the show, just want to talk really quickly about the CONCACAF Champions League. Tomorrow we have Tigres versus Metapan. We have, and I gotta say this, and some of you are gonna like this, LA Galaxy versus Comunicaciones. We have to mention it because Gio's gonna be playing with the Galaxy, so because it's gonna be exciting, because potentially it would be awesome to see LA Galaxy taking on a Liga MX team in the CONCACAF Champions League. I think that would be amazing to watch. I think that'd be awesome to watch. And then on Wednesday we have America versus Ferretti. They're not taking on Tigres. They're just taking on a team called Ferretti on Wednesday. Ferretti. Yeah. So yeah, we went through everything. We went through. Let's see. Went through FMF. We went through Europeos. We went through Liga MX. Talked about money and players and managers being comfortable in Mexico and not moving abroad. We were distracted a little bit there. Any final thoughts? What are your last thoughts? Last ideas? Last things you want to say to the viewers before we head out? We're gonna go over to Jason. Jason, any last things before we end the show?
Well, we didn't mention Alan Polito. I was squeezing him in if you guys want to talk about him a little bit, or I don't know. I wanted to mention Veracruz. I was I was surprised about in Liga MX thus far, just because they. I thought I was scared, a little worried about them with the threat of relegation kind of being removed, that their form would kind of drop off a little bit, and they've really kind of shown to be a real consistent team going forward. So I'm kind of impressed with them, and they're an interesting team to watch every week. So it's a team to look out for, I suppose.
I actually wrote down Veracruz Querétaro 2 right here on my little list of things to say, but as you can see, it says here Tom and Johnny, and I kind of somehow skipped over it. You guys talk to Tom and Johnny. All right, so Johnny, speaking of which, Johnny, any last thoughts before we head out?
No, the win against the Xolos win over Cruz Azul, first win in Xolos history over Cruz Azul. So
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
In league, there had been 4 draws and 4 losses for Xolos. Xolos had defeated Cruz Azul once in CONCACAF Champions League at Estadio Caliente, but that's a Mickey Mouse tournament that doesn't count.
That's how we only talked about it for a minute at the end of the show. All right, Naive, any last thoughts?
I didn't really say that much when the debate was about Mexican players, heading to Europe or stuff. I just think that if a Mexican player goes there and succeeds, it's good for Mexican football in general. I mean, you see it with Colombia right now, how much they have improved dramatically, and there's a lot of Colombians in Liga MX. And I think it's a good way to kind of start up a new way, to learn new ways of playing. It's not just 4-4-2 all the time like everyone plays in Mexico. I think there's other ways of playing the game, and it helps for the players over there.
Yeah, well, I personally still think that players should be taking the risk and moving abroad, but we could save that for another show. All right, Tom, thoughts?
No, yeah, thanks a lot everybody for watching and listening, and always if you want to contact us at Mixed Soccer Show on Twitter, and we're on Facebook as well, the Mexican Soccer Show. So any feedback, criticisms, comments, let us know, and we'll definitely get back to you.
Yeah, go on iTunes. Give us good ratings. Give us terrible ratings. Be honest. If you think we're 1 out of 5, give us a 1 out of 5. It's okay. Be honest. Just go on iTunes. Give us ratings.
Don't be honest. Give us 5.
Where else can they reach? So right now we have a Facebook, which I'd never visit. I probably should. So we have the Facebook, we have the Twitter account, and then we have the thing on iTunes. Correct?
Yeah. And obviously the YouTube.
Obviously, I'll say the YouTube too. Anybody who's watching right now, go down. There's a little button where you can click subscribe. And you can subscribe to all of our videos. You can watch all the stuff we've talked about in the past. We have a lot of interesting videos and topics we talk about. All right. My final thoughts. Let's hope Chicharito gets some minutes tomorrow. I'm having my fingers crossed. We're gonna, Manchester United gonna be involved with that against Club Brugge. I highly doubt. That Van Gaal is be really that intimidated by Club Brugge. Hopefully he's be bringing on his number 2 striker, which is Chicharito. Hopefully he'll be getting to start tomorrow. So that's my hope, since we've had no minutes, nothing at all. So I was hoping for something in the last game, but then Ashley Young was substituted in, so I got frustrated. Quick shout out to our Mexican Soccer Show Fantasy League. The number 1 ranked Jay Bechado? I don't know how to pronounce it. It's JBECERRAO 7, who has 337 points. So congratulations. Who probably has double the amount that any of us have right now in the league. So
he's got a big bullseye now.
Yeah. All right, so good show, good talk, guys. We'll be sure to be back next Monday, as Naib mentioned in our little, what's up conversation. Hopefully by then we'll be talking about who our manager is at that point. Yeah, hopefully we'll be talking about how much we really hate La Volpe and just how he shouldn't be taking charge of Mexico. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good Monday, and keep in touch. All right, see you guys around.